Hey, welcome to Business Growth Accelerator.
Morning.
Solid results for serious business owners who are wanting some really good results.
Yeah.
We thought today, because it's been Easter, and we went into London, believe it or not, over the weekend, which was really good, and there were so many people there. It was just absolutely crowded because we went to one of the science museums, and I was thinking to myself, and we were commenting on it, and at the time, that there's so many people here, and there's such a crowd, and there seems to be so many people in this one place.
And it's often like that in business too. How do you stand out in the crowded marketplace? Because you want to be different from others. You want to attract people. You want to actually conquer your own little pool before you start expanding out. And so many business owners think they have to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, that's not the case. Not the case at all. In fact, you want to drill down and absolutely know specifically who your client is and what they want from your business so you can deliver that. And that is all about being the big fish in that pond that you're in, not one of the many little fish that are swimming around in the pond. So maybe it's time now for Easter to have a reflection on just who you want to serve.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And as you're saying, Janelle, quite often we flip from one pond to the next, but realistically, we don't want to be the small fish in the big pond. We want to be the big fish in the same pond. And I think it's really important, especially when we look at our media and our marketing, how do we do that? How do we become the authority in our field as opposed to the expert? Because the world is awash with experts. Everyone's an expert.
Well, I think the age of the experts pretty much gone now from what I've been reading.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you a story about a client of ours who really has niched down into his market, and he won a big contract away from one of the big players in his industry the other day because he provided value, who actually listened to the customer that he was working with, and he thought ahead. He thought not just about what he was doing now that was solving their problem, but there were some other things that they had dropped into the conversation that the client said was going to happen, in a very short time. So he was able to be really flexible with his solution to the customer's problem. And even though he was, significantly higher than the big player in this particular industry,
£2,000 higher.
Yeah, the client went with him because they could see that the solution that he was giving them was not only going to help them now, but was also going to make it easier in the future when they wanted to do this extra work in their property.
So he had the 4 S's, didn't he?
Yes.
Right? Serve, solve, seed, and sell. And by that, what we mean is by serving the client, as you said, Janelle, he was listening to what the client needed, as opposed to this big player who just went in with just the normal everyday option. Once he had served his client, all right, he then solved the problem by saying this is what they needed. And he changed the whole structure of what the client needed. And he was seeding who he was and what his solution was during that, which earned him the right to be able to sell. And he did that. And the client said, yeah, hey, look, that's really good. And the client rang him back, as you said, a couple of days later and said, by the way, just want to let you know, you're $2,000 more expensive than the other people we had coming along here, but we see the long-term value of what you're providing to us.
I think that's also where a lot of people get a bit nervous, is that if they're not the cheapest, they feel that the people won't go with them. And again, that's about knowing your target market, knowing your clients and what value you can provide for them. And really niching down to your pool of clients makes you far more attractive than just putting a generalized offer out to many, many people and hoping that some of them will pick your proposal up rather than going with what they need.
You're so right. Value is so important because people will go on value versus price if they can see what your value is. The thing is that if you don't provide value, they will ask you about price and they're starting to discount. When you provide value, people will see that, and all of a sudden you have become the big fish in the same pond, and people get to know you and your reputation.
And another thing too, when you're competing on price, realistically, it's just a race to the bottom.
Oh, absolutely right. Yeah, no one wins.
We've heard of business owners who are cutting their prices dramatically. In fact, some of them are going under what they're purchasing their own stock for just to get the sale. And that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, it means that if you're purchasing under what your cost price is, then you're not making any money.
Yeah.
You can't survive as a business. All right, so continue to look into your pond, all right, because that's what we put on there today,
Yeah.
and to understand, as Janelle said, what your target market is. Who is your ideal client? And when you do, the 4S's again: serve, solve, seed, and then sell. Provide that value, and you're going to get the sale, just like our client did. $2,000 more, £2,000 more than the competitor who was giving them just an out-of-the-box solution.
And just be prepared to niche down. It sounds back to front. It sounds like, cutting your customers down is a little bit backward for business.
But look at this. We've got a comment from someone coming in. Thanks. Value is so key. People will return time and time when you value them and add value to the business, and they will value you. That is just a great comment. Thank you for that.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on.
You've got it in one there. You are the big fish in the pond. Go for value every time. Lovely. Look, go out and do value. Find out your ideal client, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Because again, these are simple strategies for serious business owners who are wanting solid results. Thank you for your wonderful comment as well. Look forward to seeing you again.